Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today for our reading lesson. If you remember, we started reading the story of Paul Bunyan. This was a tall tale. Remember yesterday we talked about all those different characteristics of tall tales, how they're exaggerated, how the characters are a little larger than life. So today, as we continue with more of the story, I want you to really be paying attention to the illustrations today, because this is a fantastic story that really proves how the pictures can help you understand what the words are saying. They kind of go hand in hand. So listening to the words, but really studying the pictures today as well. And then you've got some questions to answer about some of these pictures. Okay, so if you remember, we read a little bit about how Paul Bunyan was growing up, and then we learned about his friend, his blue ox named Babe. So today, we're going to learn a little bit about his life. So starting out, Paul was always comfortable holding an axe. With his very first swing, he cut down a half-grown pine tree. He used it to brush his hair until the needles fell out. When he got older, Paul decided to be a lumberjack. At first, he had only Babe to help him. Paul cut down the trees, and Babe pulled them into stacks beside the river. But there was more work to be done, more than even Paul and Babe could do. So Paul hired himself a crew. His most famous workers were his 7 axemen, all named Elmer. Each Elmer weighed over 300 pounds and was over 6 feet tall, sitting down. The Elmers didn't chop wood with regular axes. They worked faster, twirling the blades around them. Okay, so take a really good look at that illustration. You can see Paul Bunyan, you can see Babe, you can see the Elmers and their axes. Remember, they're 6 feet tall, sitting down. So think about how tall they would be standing up. Sourdough Sam, the cook, fed Paul's logging crews. Sam's soup kettle was so big, he had to row a boat out to the center. At dinner, his cookhouse boys wore roller skates to get from one end of the dining tables to the other. Okay, so you can see these people on their roller skates. Right? They're getting from one end of the table to the other. The axeman ate hundreds of flapjacks. Sourdough Sam was always running out of space to make them. So, Ole the blacksmith made a new griddle. A dozen men skated on bacon slabs to grease it. At first, the flapjacks in the middle were too hard to reach. Then Sam added popcorn to the batter, so the flapjacks flipped themselves. So remember yesterday we talked about how tall tales are exaggerated, right? So think about what's exaggerated on this page and looking at the illustrations, right? You have to listen to the words, but you also want to think, okay, what do the pictures tell? How do they go along with the words in the story? So today, your task is to answer a few questions. The illustrations are going to be there for you. Thinking really closely and paying attention about the actual pictures and what the words say. Okay, these people are wearing roller skates. Think about these tall tales and what your point of view is.